Podcast start. It's NFL time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pieper Sports Podcast. This week, we have a couple of interesting news pieces coming out. The NFL just released 1 week prior to the NFL draft. They released the schedules for all 32 teams, all 256 odd games, and I am going to talk to you about what I believe are the must-watch games every single week and what my top picks are for games 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 17, because that's a lot of numbers to count. Well, let's get right into it. I have a few things that I want to say, little preface. Now, what makes a good game? High scoring, fast-paced, competitive, things that in general any sport that has those makes it exciting and fun, things that you want to be there for, whether it be overtime games, 100 points scored in a game, or whatever it is. That's what makes it fun. And using this criteria, whether it be rivalries or high scoring or competitive or overtime or what I think, I use that to compile every single game, to evaluate every single game and pick mine one per week. Week 1, we have the Patriots versus Pittsburg. Now this is going to be the defending Super Bowl champions fighting against the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which the Pittsburgh Steelers lost Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, and their player turnover has turned them into kind of a what's gonna happen type team. And the Steelers themselves, although they have talent in Juju Smith-Schuster, in James Conner, in their defense with Big Ben, and with their defensive players. I mean, with TJ Watt is what I meant to say. I apologize. TJ Watt. That team is dangerous, but it's kind of a let's see what happens with them, because they have the potential to go and make the playoffs, but they might also disappoint everybody with the teams in their division being so strong and powerful, with the Ravens and the Browns in their division as well, as they're both upcoming. The Patriots with Tom Brady and their player turnover, with Rob Gronkowski retiring and Trey Flowers leaving in free agency. That team looks a little bit fragile, especially with a 42-year-old quarterback. It's the battle of the old-timers and their player turnover rates and seeing who goes down. That'll definitely be a fun one to watch week 1. Week 2, I have the Vikings versus the Packers. Now, this is always a staple matchup because it's a rivalry game in division, in conference, typically holds a lot of weight with playoffs. With the Packers and the Vikings, you have Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins going at it, and it's going to be a big what if with Aaron Rodgers, whether or not that he ends up getting a lot of criticism from his performance, or if he can pick it up this year and make a very good rebound year in his older age as he starts getting a little bit older. Week 3, Chargers versus Houston Texans. It's going to be an exciting game, mostly because Chargers, huge offense, a lot of firepower on that team, and then facing up against the Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson and that extremely strong firepower they have with Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, and J.J. Watt. They just have a lot of star talent on that team, and it makes it very, very exciting. That'll be a fun matchup of two potential playoff teams. Week 4, I have Cowboys Saints. My dislike of the Cowboys and the crybaby Saints makes it rough for this one. Now, I do love the Saints as is. I think they're going to do very, very well. They have Drew Brees. They still have their star talent. They have Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Their defense with Marshawn Lattimore has been almost locked down for the most part. That's going to be a fun game to watch. The Cowboys is going to be Dak Prescott's coming out year if he does end up, kicking it off and, reaching that full potential that everybody thinks he will. Week 5, I have Green Bay versus Dallas. Another Dallas game, but it also has the Packers in it, so two teams I both hate. But it's going to be a fun matchup. Aaron Rodgers versus Dak Prescott. Future of the NFC versus the past of the NFC. Now, it's going to be, like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers, seeing if he can rebound and get his name back as one of the best quarterbacks in the league and most talented quarterback in the league. With Dak Prescott, with his kind of crappier year last year, it's going to be a battle between two good receivers in Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper, who was acquired last year by the Cowboys. We'll go week 7 now. We'll go Denver Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you're a Bronco fan, this is what you have, circled on every single one of your calendars, mostly because it is a huge matchup. It's a rivalry in division. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be a madhouse. That's going to be one of the fun games. Week 8, Browns versus Patriots. Now, if you ever saw the NFL 100 commercial they did where they had all the alumni there, you saw Tom Brady hand his rings over jokingly to Baker Mayfield. And, it's kind of a very, very good comparison. You get Tom Brady old school and Baker Mayfield young. Who's handing it over to if Tom Brady's ready to hand over the torch, per se, to a younger and high potential quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and both of them having very strong, powerful offenses that'll be exciting to witness in 2019. Now we have week 9, Packers versus Chargers. We have another Packer one in there and another Charger one in there. Phillip Rivers versus Aaron Rodgers, two quarterbacks that have been in the league for almost forever and ever. But you get to see Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams. You get to see star talent on both sides of the ball. You get to see the Joey Bosa, not Nick Bosa, he's in the draft this year. Joey Bosa going up against David Bakhtiari, and you get to see very, very cool one-on-one matchups on both sides of the ball with Jair Alexander and Keenan Allen. That'll be a fun matchup, and I think it'll probably end up being one of the games of the year if everything starts working out the way I think it will. Week 10, I have Vikings versus Dallas, another Vikings, another Dallas game, but it will be a prime matchup because both of them struggled last year and didn't achieve as much as they should have. But it's a rebound year for both teams. Both of them have a lot of players coming back. Both of them have the potential to be playoff teams this year, to the dismay of all football fans except for Dallas and Minnesota fans. But it'll be exciting. It'll be fast-paced. Both have strong running games and offenses, and both of them have developing young defenses that'll be very, very cool. Only bad thing, Vikings... Or one of the good things is you get to see Anthony Barr with the Vikings, and that'll be fun. In Week 11, we have Patriots versus Eagles, the Super Bowl 52 rematch that nobody wants, except for me and Philadelphia fans. But it will be hopefully with a healthy Carson Wentz versus a healthy Tom Brady. It'll be a battle, a rematch. It'll be fun. It'll probably be a little bit more low scoring than I anticipate or than I hope for, mostly because both teams aren't the same as they were when they did win or did go to the Super Bowl 2 years back and compete then. Week 12, we have Packers 49ers. Now, I would, in this one, say I have 49ers. I have a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey at my home. Hopefully he is all healthy along with Aaron Rodgers, but this will be a very, very young versus old matchup. Both have strong potential offenses, and I want to see what Jimmy Garoppolo can do under Kyle Shanahan, and I want to see if this will be their kind of come-out year where they make the playoffs, and with their talent, which is off the charts, if the 49ers can compete with the top talented teams with the Packers. We have Week 13, Vikings versus Seattle. That will be a hell of a matchup because you just get Russell Wilson, who re-signed his giant contract, his record-setting contract with almost $35 million a year as a quarterback, as an NFL player. And you get Kirk Cousins, who last year signed his major record-setting contract with the Vikings. And that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be back and forth. I think it'll be more of a blowout than anything else, but it's two big-time, big-money quarterbacks in two very, very big markets in Minnesota and Seattle. Week 14, this will be AFC Championship last year rematch, Patriots Chiefs. You have the Patriots with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. You get to see the matchup that everybody in the AFC that cares, that gets to see this. You get to see whether or not the Patriots are the same team without Gronkowski and Trey Flowers. You get to see if Patrick Mahomes is the same potentially without Tyreek Hill with his big issues with his child and child abuse claims, and without Kareem Hunt and Dee Ford. That team's going to be a little bit different, but this is still going to be one of those fun, exciting matchups that hold a little bit of bad blood, but it's also going to be Tom Brady hopefully potentially handing off the torch to Patrick Mahomes as he won MVP last year as a young quarterback. Then we have Week 15. I had to put this rivalry in there because there's always one time I have to do it. Packers versus Bears. All-time great rivalry right there. It's one of the best there is. You get to see Khalil Mack try to sack Aaron Rodgers. You get to see Devontae Adams going up against that wonderful defense at the Bears. It's going to be a fun game in Week 15. And potentially, depending on how Mitchell Trubisky performs, their quarterback, could be a playoff decider game for these two division teams. Week 16, we have Cowboys versus Eagles, another rivalry game as two of the most hated fan bases and two most hated teams in the NFL, in the Cowboys and the Eagles. This one would be kind of exciting to see between the individual matchups with Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz, whether or not Carson Wentz is going to be everything he's cracked up to be, or whether or not Dak Prescott is going to be everything he's cracked up to be. It all comes down to that game there. In Week 17, we have a potential playoff decider game. Who can decide whether it be a division or who goes into the wild card with the Saints and the Panthers. And that's the final game of my matchups to watch every single season. But with the Panthers, I think this will be a playoff decider game. Potentially they'll make them a wild card team or not. The Saints, whether or not they get a first round bye or not, that's what this game means, and it's always explosive between these two teams because of their big-time talent and their big-time stars, and it'll be a fun game itself. Now, these are all going to be fun games, and I can't just pick one game every single week that I think is going to be great or it's going to be exciting. I can't just decide on that. But in terms of what I think is going to matter most and be the most exciting to watch as a football fan, I think these are probably my favorite matchups. I will put these in the description box below, so feel free to read, feel free to look at those and argue with me in the comment section whether or not I put anything wrong or anything right that you guys enjoy or hate. Now, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification after you subscribe so you can get updated on every single video that I upload through the channel. I hopefully will be starting some big projects pretty soon here, whether it be a political podcast, other news podcasts, and on the mymetmedia.com page, you get to see anything that I write, because I also write a lot of stories and articles, anything else that I do there. Next week, I will be doing a NHL and NBA update as it's the end of the first round for both of them. So I'll be sporting a different look by the time that comes around. Regardless, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being so kind, sweet, and wonderful and supportive for me. I will see you next week. I hope this Friday/Saturday upload is better for everybody, and hopefully we get a good response by that. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.